My name is Natalie, I'm 31, and I live in Salt Lake City, Utah. A few months ago, my boyfriend Tyler told me he was having issues with his roommate and needed to move out ASAP. I offered for him to stay with me temporarily, but he declined, said he didn't want to impose, and would stay with his mom instead. I respected that. Thought it was sweet, even. Weeks went by, and he'd still spend most nights at my place, but he always insisted on leaving in the morning, to go home, he said. When I asked how things were going at his mom's, he'd say vague things like, "She's driving me nuts," or, "Can't wait to get my own space again." Then one night, we were watching TV and an Airbnb ad popped up. Jokingly, I asked, "You should just Airbnb a place instead of living with your mom." His body language shifted. He laughed too quickly and said, "Yeah, right. Like I could afford that." But something didn't sit right with me. Later that week, I was planning a girls' weekend and browsing Airbnb listings in the area. Out of curiosity, I expanded the search to nearby neighborhoods, and then I saw it. A fully furnished apartment, with Tyler in one of the listing photos. Sitting at a kitchen counter. Holding a coffee mug I had bought him. I clicked the host profile. Same name. Same face. He wasn't living with his mom, he was renting out a secret Airbnb under a different account. He had a whole second setup, and from the calendar, it looked like he'd been staying with multiple other women on different nights, calling them guests. He was essentially dating me and hosting hookups like it was a hotel. I didn't confront him. I booked a night at his Airbnb under a fake name. When he opened the door and saw me, his face went pale. I handed him a printed copy of his listing and said, "I didn't know we were in the hospitality business." Then I left. Cancelled the weekend plans and spent the next 2 days detoxing him from my life. He texted me dozens of times. I didn't reply. Let him host himself into loneliness. I met Tyler 7 months ago at my friend Melissa's housewarming party. I wasn't even planning to go that night. I just finished a brutal 60-hour workweek finalizing the quarterly marketing reports for the tech startup where I work. But Melissa insisted, saying I needed to remember what humans looked like outside of spreadsheets. Tyler was different from guys I usually dated. He wasn't showing off or trying too hard. He stood in the corner nursing a beer, making witty observations about the party that had me laughing until my sides hurt. When he asked for my number at the end of the night, it felt natural. Our first date was at a small Italian restaurant downtown. He listened when I talked, actually listened, asking thoughtful follow-up questions. He remembered little details I mentioned in passing, like my coffee order or my favorite true crime podcast. 3 weeks in, I found myself canceling plans with friends to spend more time with him. "You really hit the jackpot with this one," my sister Rachel told me after meeting him at our family dinner. "He's attentive, funny, and doesn't look at his phone every 5 seconds. A unicorn." That's how it felt, like I'd finally found someone real. Someone present. Our relationship progressed quickly but comfortably. By month 3, we were seeing each other 4 or 5 nights a week. He'd cook dinner at my place, we'd watch movies, talk for hours. It felt safe. It felt genuine. Then came the roommate drama. Brandon's being impossible, Tyler told me one night as we were washing dishes side by side in my kitchen. He's 3 months behind on utilities and bringing random people over at all hours. I can barely sleep. I listened sympathetically as his roommate problems escalated over the next few weeks. The tension in his voice sounded real. The frustration in his eyes looked authentic. When he finally said he needed to move out, I didn't hesitate to offer my place. "You could stay here until you find something," I suggested, trying to keep my tone casual despite the flutter of excitement in my chest at the thought of waking up next to him every morning. Tyler's eyes softened. He took my hands in his. "Nat, that's incredibly sweet. But I don't want to impose on your space. You need your independence. I'll crash at my mom's for a bit, it's not ideal, but it's temporary." I was disappointed but touched by his consideration. What kind of guy turns down the easy solution to be respectful of boundaries? A good one, I thought. The next few weeks fell into a pattern. Tyler would come over after work, we'd spend the evening together, and he'd stay the night. But every morning, no matter how early or late, he'd kiss me goodbye and leave, gotta grab fresh clothes from mom's, or promise to help her with some yard work. I didn't question it. His relationship with his mother seemed important to him, and I respected that. Sometimes he'd mention how suffocating it felt being back under her roof. She still treats me like I'm 16, he'd complain, rolling his eyes. Yesterday she lectured me for an hour about leaving a wet towel on the bathroom floor. I sympathized, offered my support, asked if there was anything I could do. He'd just smile, kiss my forehead, and say, "You're already doing it. Being with you is my escape." Words that once melted my heart now make my stomach turn. The first time I noticed something off was when I called him one afternoon about 2 months into this arrangement. I was at the grocery store, wondering if he wanted to join me for dinner. The call connected, and I heard what sounded like a woman laughing in the background before Tyler hastily answered with a, "Hey, what's up?" His voice had that tight quality it gets when he's stressed. "Just grocery shopping. Thought you might want to come over for pasta tonight." "Sounds great," he said quickly. "Mom's got some friends over for book club. Driving me crazy. I'll head to your place around 7. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? Then came the Airbnb commercial. We were lounging on my couch watching a reality show, and when the ad came on, I made what I thought was an innocent joke. But Tyler's reaction, the way his shoulder muscles tensed under my hand, the forced laugh, the too quick dismissal, triggered something in my subconscious. A warning bell, faint but unmistakable. That night, after he fell asleep, I found myself staring at the ceiling, replaying small inconsistencies in my mind. The time his phone dinged with a notification that he snatched away too quickly. The weekend he said he was helping his mom move furniture but came back without the usual complaints about his back hurting. The mysterious phone calls he'd step outside to take. Was I being paranoid? Probably. But the seed of doubt had been planted. I didn't plan to search for him on Airbnb. I genuinely was planning a weekend getaway with my college friends. We do it twice a year, rent a cabin or a beach house somewhere and spend 3 days drinking wine and catching up on each other's lives. This time it was my turn to find accommodations. I started browsing listings near Park City, cute cabins with mountain views, modern condos with hot tubs. Nothing felt quite right. On a whim, I expanded the search to include Salt Lake City proper. Maybe we could just do a staycation, save on travel time. That's when I saw it. A cozy modern downtown apartment, perfect for business or pleasure. The main photo showed a sleek living room with floor-to-ceiling windows. Nothing suspicious there. But as I scrolled through the gallery, my blood ran cold. The fifth photo showed the kitchen, and there was Tyler, sitting at the counter, smiling at the camera with that crooked grin I loved so much. He was holding the blue ceramic mug I bought him after he mentioned loving the color of the Great Salt Lake at sunset. My hands shook as I clicked on the host profile. Tyler's Downtown Haven, it said. 4 stars. 28 reviews. Most recent one from just 3 days ago, great host, very accommodating and friendly. I checked the availability calendar. Some nights blocked off, the nights he spent with me. Others open. Some already booked. I sat there for what felt like hours, piecing it together. Tyler didn't have a roommate issue. Tyler wasn't staying with his mom. Tyler had his own apartment that he was renting out on Airbnb, except on the nights he wasn't with other women. Women he met, where? Dating apps? Bars? Did it matter? My first instinct was to call him, to scream, to demand answers. But something deeper and colder took over. If he could play games, so could I. I created a new Airbnb account under the name Natasha Peters. Uploaded a stock photo of a blonde woman who looked nothing like me. I booked his apartment for the following Thursday night, a night he'd told me earlier he would be helping his mom with tax paperwork. The confirmation came through immediately. My heart hammered in my chest as I typed a brief message, looking forward to my stay. Will arrive around 8 p.m. His response came an hour later, looking forward to hosting you, Natasha. I'll be there to provide the keys and show you around. The next 3 days were the hardest of my life. I went through the motions: work, gym, dinner with Tyler, who was as affectionate and attentive as ever. I smiled. I laughed at his jokes. I kissed him goodnight. All while a storm raged inside me. Thursday arrived. I told Tyler I had a late meeting and wouldn't be able to see him before he went to his mom's. He sounded genuinely disappointed. I'll miss you tonight. Call me before bed. Of course, I said, my voice steady despite the nausea rising in my throat. I took extra care with my appearance that evening. Hair straightened. Full makeup. The black dress he always said looked amazing on me. If I was going to confront the man who'd been playing me, I wanted to look damn good doing it. At 7:58 p.m., I stood outside the downtown apartment building listed in the reservation, clutching my phone and a folder containing printed screenshots of his Airbnb listing. My hand hovered over the buzzer for Unit 407. I pressed it. Hello. His voice came through the speaker, chipper and professional. It's Natasha, I replied, disguising my voice slightly. Come on up. The elevator ride to the 4th floor gave me time to steady my breathing, to reaffirm my resolve. This wasn't about making a scene. This was about reclaiming my dignity. When the elevator doors opened, Tyler was standing in the hallway outside his apartment, welcoming smile in place. He wore the blue button-down shirt I'd given him for his birthday last month. The moment he saw me, the smile evaporated. His face drained of color so quickly I thought he might faint. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. I walked toward him slowly, my heels clicking on the hallway floor like a countdown. Natalie, he finally managed, his voice barely above a whisper. I can explain. I stopped directly in front of him, close enough to smell the cologne I'd grown to love. Without a word, I handed him the folder. He took it with trembling hands, opened it, saw the screenshots of his own listing. His own face staring back at him from the photos. I didn't know we were in the hospitality business, I said, my voice surprisingly calm despite the hurricane of emotions inside me. I turned to leave. Nat, please, he called after me, desperation cracking his voice. It's not what you think. I stepped into the elevator and pressed the lobby button, meeting his eyes one last time as the doors closed between us. The look on his face, panic mixed with shame, would have satisfied me once. Now I just felt hollow. Back in my car, the text started flooding in. Natalie, please let me explain, it's not what it looks like, I was just trying to make extra money, the women are just guests, I swear, please call me, I love you. I turned off my phone. Drove to Rachel's apartment. Spent the night on her couch, replaying every moment of our relationship in my mind, recontextualizing every sweet gesture and tender word through the lens of his betrayal. The next morning, I methodically began removing Tyler from my life. I changed my locks. Blocked his number. Collected the few belongings he'd left at my place and dropped them off with the doorman at his building. I canceled the weekend getaway with my friends, needing time alone to process what had happened. His attempts to contact me grew increasingly desperate. He created new email accounts when I blocked his primary one. He sent flowers to my workplace. He even showed up at my apartment one night, pounding on the door until my neighbor threatened to call the police. Weeks passed. The anger faded, replaced by a numb sort of clarity. I'd almost fallen for a man who treated relationships like hotel reservations, temporary stays with convenient checkout times. I heard through mutual friends that Tyler had deactivated his Airbnb listing. That he was telling anyone who would listen how much he regretted what he'd done, how he'd made the biggest mistake of his life. Sometimes I wonder about the other women. Did they know about me? About each other? Were they also left wondering which parts were real and which were carefully constructed lies? I don't have those answers. But I do know this: sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't some elaborate scheme. Sometimes it's simply walking away and never looking back. Tyler still tries to reach out occasionally. New phone numbers. Mutual friends' social media accounts. Each attempt more desperate than the last. I never respond. Let him host himself into loneliness. But there are quiet moments, usually late at night, when I wonder if I should have confronted him differently. If I should have demanded the full truth. If there might have been an explanation that could make sense of it all. Then I remember the look on his face when he opened that door. Not guilt. Not remorse. Just shock at being caught. And I know I made the right choice.